All right, guys, we are back. This is the second stream for Conline. This is the Mike Mayhew stream. We have some guys live from CGC headquarters, and they're sitting down with Mike Mayhew, and we will get to them in just a moment. First, we're going to read off some of our sponsors for the show. First up, we have the Short Box Podcast. The Short Box is an award-winning comic book and pop culture podcast based in Jacksonville, Florida. Created in 2012 and hosted by
Barter and Crew.
There we go, Barter and Crew. The show, I'm going to let you read that one from now on. The show is on its sixth season of releasing weekly opinionated discussions centered around comic and pop culture topics. Industry professionals, actors, musicians, and content creators regularly join the show to chat about projects and the latest fandom news. If you ever asked what's worth checking out, look no further and take a listen.
JJ's Comics and Art. JJ's been supporting the Comic Conline from the very beginning. Head over to his Instagram bio to check out the latest they have to offer.
Then we have Scott's Collectibles. Scott's Collectibles reps some of the top creators in the business and was kind enough to lend a few of the creators to the show. Head over to www.scottscollectibles.co.uk to see the latest offerings from the creators.
Major Pain Comics is a new online retailer looking to make an instant positive impact on the comic industry. Make sure to check out majorpain.com.
That's Payne, as in the movie David Williams. Yep. Alpha and Omega Certification is the official CGC facilitator for Comic Conline. Check out alphaomegacertification.com for an amazing list of signature submission opportunities.
Outright Geekery will have exclusive behind-the-scenes coverage of this event. Head over to outrightgeekery.com for the latest in comic-related news.
The Comic Book Shopping Network, CBSN, is a hub where retailers come together to host live sales every single day, every hour. There's not a dead hour on that page. The creation of Jesse James and Jen King, CBSN is the home for some of the best comic deals and people on Facebook.
And we have oasiscomics.com. They are the official home for Jay Lee and David Barron exclusive covers. Now available, they have the Power Rangers exclusive color blank sets. Get those while you can.
And also CGC Comics, which, the industry
leader
for the standard, the gold standard for grading for comics, hands down. Now, we will go live now to CGC, where Brian Weeks and Stephen Davis are sitting down with Mike Mayhew.
And there's Mike Mayhew.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, guys. We are live from CGC. Mike's been here all morning and having a blast.
Yeah.
Doing remarks and signing.
I can't believe I'm at CGC.
Right? It's awesome.
It's killer. I did the tour, and I'm amazed at what they do here. It's bigger than you can imagine.
It is. It's big.
Yeah.
Steven's over there on the other side of Mike.
Steven.
We got our lovely ladies from CGC. Come on, get in the camera. Come on.
Everyone's been masked up and taking precautions. So.
Yep. So we've been having fun. Mike, what are you working on right now?
I signed all the books for CGC, and now I'm doing a lot of remarks. I've done a bunch of them that are over there drying. I'm getting ready to do a Spider-Man one. I got a Darth Vader here on a Star Wars number 15. It's kind of a work in progress. So, I'll pick at these as we're talking and have fun with it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Mike, you're running a sale this weekend for the Comic Conline on your website, right?
Yeah, I threw up a discount code. I'm really grateful for those of you that tuned in. I think these live streaming events are certainly a way for the comics community to stay together right now, but I think they're going to be a permanent thing. People like the comfort of being at home.
They do.
And, I like being on the ground floor of it, and I appreciate you people tuning in. So if you use the discount code ComicConline2020, all one word, at my website, www.mikemayhewstudio.com, it's 20% off everything today through Monday. So thanks for watching.
Thank you, Mike. So, Mike, what time did you get here this morning?
Well, I flew in last night, so I rolled in here about 9:30, and I don't know, what is it now, 2:30? So
Wow.
time flies, you know.
You've been staying busy with this.
Yeah, I've been staying busy in general. It's amazing. You would think things have slowed down, and I feel that it probably has for a lot of people. But since this whole thing has happened, more and more opportunities have presented themselves.
Steve and I've been sitting here for a while watching you remark, and you bring a lot of detail to these remarks.
Oh, thank you.
Let's bring some of these.
Yeah, we can show off a couple. Brittany's got one here.
I don't know how close.
We'll actually put the Steve.
Oh, there's a Joker I just finished, and
If you want to put it down, I can.
Oh, there we go.
Close up.
yeah, the remarks just kind of found me in a strange way. I had kind of, I'd seen a few other guys like Greg Horn, and I don't know, a couple other guys maybe had dabbled with them, maybe with one color like white on a black or something like that. And I certainly was messing around with them here or there. I'd get people ask me about it, so I'd give it a crack if the show was slow. And then I remember doing some like Jawa ones and Sand People ones for this issue that were in color, and they just really were bright and pop. They had a lot of appeal. And that's what sort of trained me to know what to do when, what was it, ASM, the Spider-Man one where he's ripping apart Red Goblin, that was 797. And that ASM 797 and Venom 1, just the remark, demand on those was insane. So after doing hundreds of those, I really got a knack for what to do with them. And, I always love kind of doing new characters now people come at me with, but I feel like the old standbys like Joker, Venom, Spider-Man are continue to get better and better. So it's, I don't really do a lot of commission. Well, I don't do any commissions. I don't do sketch covers. But I feel like this is a good way for me to give people an opportunity to get a one of a kind piece of artwork on a collectible book. And, it's really cool when you get them graded. And people seem to love it, and I love doing them.
What's your favorite character to draw?
In general?
Yeah.
I would say Spider-Man's got to be top of the list for me. I mean, he's just like drawing magic. When you're getting that webbing laid down and the figure looks right, you know it. I mean, the paper's telling you that it looks correct, and the bright colors, the blue and red, the kind of movement and action that he sort of engages in, and he just never feels old or stale. Spider-Man always feels current and fresh.
Right.
And I just love that about him. And then all the other characters in that world are so fun to draw. I mean, such a fan of all those Steve Ditko and John Romita, character designs, and I could draw that stuff all day long.
Wow.
Yeah.
What would you say is the most challenging character you've had to draw?
That would probably be Batman. I mean, I find that to be a very difficult character. I think the one thing that DC was smart about is letting artists sort of push their interpretations of him into their own voice. And every time I've gotten to do a Batman thing, it's sort of I don't know, maybe a cover where he's on with a bunch of other characters, and maybe it's got to fit within a certain storyline they're doing, or the New 52 where they might have a certain new costume they're trying. And so I'm trying to adapt to that, but not really getting to explore what I might come up with. So, I look forward to a time where I can really sort of come up with my take on Batman that would, reflect what I do best, and, how much passion I have for that character, because he's, equally as important to me as Spider-Man. I mean, I tried to dig a bat cave in my backyard when I was like 7.
That's awesome.
Until I hit the foundation, and I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't going anywhere.
At least you put the foundation, not groundwater.
Yeah, no doubt. But again, the world of Batman, all those villains, and I mean, I love the darkness of it, but it's just tricky for me to figure out exactly how to handle him.
So I'm on your site right now, and I'm checking out this Dr. Doom. I gotta tell you, that is.
Oh, thank you.
That is an awesome Dr. Doom.
It's all right. Yeah, I love Dr. Doom. I really had, high hopes for that. I like the artwork too, but I'd love a couple more cracks at that character, because, again, just the character design of Dr. Doom is so, it just never gets old to me, and sort of the pathos of that character. He's a bad guy, but you can kind of relate to him or you feel for him in some way.
Right.
And some of my fondest memories with comics as a kid were reading, Fantastic Four issue 200. I still revisit that issue, and I can't wait to see how the Disney Marvel Cinematic Universe might approach that character.
It's going to be interesting to see.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What's the rumors? He's in Black Panther or something coming out?
I heard that he might have some association with it. Maybe like his sister might be in it.
Oh,
I love it when they kind of tease the characters. Like I think they might end up doing that with the X-Men. Like a couple mutant characters might pepper Captain Marvel or some of these other upcoming movies. But then when you see the X-Men movie coming out, you've already got some pre-knowledge of how they are going to interact with the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can see some comments here, see if people are saying anything. Just to slow it up here, sorry.
Yeah, you guys are going all weekend long with what, 20 plus creators?
Yes.
You guys just had Tyler Kirkham on?
Yes, Tyler was just on recording, guys. Tomorrow we'll be here again, and Saturday.
That's super
we got
cool.
a heck of a lineup. Oh, let me just write down.
That's super cool. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I think I think this platform is so ripe for opportunity that people haven't quite tapped into.
Yeah, I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah, like I try to do it a little bit for my studio, and one thing I would love to have is like a soundboard, like Fred Norris on Howard Stern, or Jim Cramer. Just it adds something to it. But I think there's a lot of room for stuff like that guys will figure out, to make it more interesting, or just the different, like what you can do with StreamYard, where you can show the artwork while the person's talking and make it a little more dynamic. And obviously the video and sound quality is just going to get better and better.
Absolutely, yes. Yes. We got a couple people here. They love your new X-23 retro costume.
Thank you. That was a big hit, and those sold out of my store. I think they sold out of the partner stores, Frankie's Comics, Collectors, Comic Kingdom of Canada, Golden Apple, and Forbidden Planet UK. And might have something along those lines coming up for you guys soon. I'm excited about that cover.
That is awesome. I'm also looking at your Return of Wolverine painting with the claws.
Yeah. I always love doing Wolvie. I did a Wolvie #1 for this year in January for his new title. It was with the Comic Mint. It was one of their ultimate editions where there were only 180.
Wow.
So yeah, it's cool to be able to do stuff like that.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah.
And you've been to everything. Star Wars. I see Batman, Joker here.
Yeah.
Vampiro over there.
Well, I don't know if I look it, but I'm an older guy. I've been around for a while.
You look good.
Yeah. And I'm 50, so I've been doing this since 1993. And so, I've been lucky to hit a lot of these characters I love along the way. I've made a significant contribution to Star Wars with The Star Wars. I don't know if people are familiar with that. And I did a couple great issues of the regular title, like, this Obi-Wan storyline that may or may not be sort of alluded to in the new Obi-Wan series.
Right.
I feel like they'll at least kind of have this vibe to it.
So what was the book that just kind of like you launched your career and made you?
Well, it was a couple along the way. Zorro was big for me. It's probably hard to remember, but Topps Comics was pretty big in '93. Probably led by X-Files, which was a huge selling comic. And I think it was coming out bi-monthly. Charlie Adler was drawing it, of Walking Dead fame. And Topps was doing great with that. And they had a lot of other licensed properties. Zorro was one of them. And working with Jim Salicrup, notorious, one of the best editors ever. He worked on John Byrne's X-Men. He worked on George Perez Avengers, and he's the guy that brought McFarlane to Spider-Man. So I got to work with him directly, and Don McGregor, the great 70s Marvel writer who is responsible for most of the mythos of Black Panther that we saw on the screen. And, I just knew at a young age that working with guys like that would give me, the mentorship I sort of needed at that point. So Zorro set me off on a long career. I maybe worked on that title for about 4 years, to include Lady Rawhide, which was a character that we created, and she had her own series. And then, at that point, we were dealing with a really bad downturn in the comic industry. It was brutal. I moved out to New York City, and it couldn't have been the worst time for comics. Within a couple of years, Marvel was bankrupt, and it was a bad scene. And but I probably wasn't ready for some of the challenges I had, and I was still kind of growing as an artist. But in 2000, when Harris Comics called me about Vampirella, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with that, and I was able to sort of execute on a comic in a way that I would have never been prepared for earlier. In terms of I had started, because comics weren't doing well, I started doing some painting, like illustration for Scholastic, because they were kind of in my neighborhood and I could go to the offices and I had a connection there. And so I was doing painted covers on Vampirella and these fully rendered tonal interiors, which is kind of different. Most people were inked, but I was able to produce the black and white art that was digitally colored. And that really set the standard for how my work is today.
Wow.
I still do the painted covers. I'm still shooting photo reference that, in my studio that I'm whiting and working from. And when I do interiors, I still do the same process that I did on Vampirella. So that really set the stage for what I'm doing now.
Brandon here wants to know if there's a chance of seeing more Spawn in the future from you.
Oh, I would love that. I love, I'm so inspired by Todd McFarlane. I have been since day one. And I'm so, I think his achievements in this industry are almost unparalleled. I mean, to have the longest running series now that he surpassed Cerebus, and starting Image Comics, and I would love to do more Spawn. I'm very proud of that issue I did. It was World War I Spawn. They changed the number on me, so I always forget exactly which one it was. It was like 178 or something like that. But I did see where Todd teased the Spawn verse, kind of like the Spidey verse, and I was looking for World War I Spawn.
Yeah.
I saw the Cowboy one, so maybe he'll show up, man.
That's awesome.
I'd love to do like a variant cover for that. That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. But I love Spawn.
So, how long does it take you? Like your X-20, how long did it take you to do that from start to finish?
That painting I did in about a day.
No kidding.
Yeah. Now that was quick because I'd already done. It was basically an homage to my X-23 Vampire variant, which is a pretty highly sought after variant. I think it kind of goes for around $200 in good condition. And so I already knew what I was doing, and I did that art for Comic Art Fans, which is a great website. Had their first live event. They wanted some new, never before seen art for people. Mm-hmm. And so, I was like, oh, let me try and bang this out. And I put the process on Instagram, and Kevin Fields of Frankie's Comics saw it and was like, oh, this would make a great cover. And that's how it goes.
Dang, wow.
Yeah. Normally I spend about, a week or so on a cover, on a painted cover. I'm usually working on a couple things at a time because there's certain approval processes where you're kind of waiting to hear back, but generally about a week or so.
So how many times did you, when you do an average cover, how many times you step back and go, and you tweak it again?
Yeah.
Do you do that a lot, or do you try to just let it flow?
Well, my process is in place for a lot of reasons. If you're a fan of my original artwork, you'll see that I often have like pencil prelims, painted prelims, and I don't just do that to milk the original artwork. But obviously that's one reason is to have their originals to sell. But I show the pencil sketch to my editors, and then I'll get approval, and often I'll get notes. Or I'll look at it and share that with other people, like my close circle, and sort of see it in a different way. And then when I go to the painted one, I can sort of implement the notes and sort of make some adjustments. And then that gets approved. And then once I do the final painting, there's very little question as to what I'm doing and how it's going to be received.
Right.
So it gives me a lot more confidence to just, have fun executing the painting.
Yeah.
So that, there's not a lot of like, oh man, I wish I would have put that arm over here, after I started airbrushing.
Yep.
It's already
signed,
sealed, and delivered.
Yeah, because I can imagine fixing an airbrushing would be a little difficult.
Yeah, that's the whole reason of the process is to sort of prevent any kind of extra work.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, if you're joining us again, we're here at CGC. Mike's been here.
We're at CGC. How cool is that, right?
Yeah, Mike got the grand tour today. Steve and I get the tour tomorrow. We're pumped about it. What would you think the coolest thing you saw here today?
They got robots back there.
They got robots.
They got robots.
I can't wait.
Working on stuff. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah,
right.
I had no idea the technology involved, like custom made for this company, and the people and sort of the infrastructure. It was very impressive. You just figure there's a guy grading in a room and then they slap it in a case. How hard could it be? But it's very technical, and they've obviously put a lot of thought into it. It's amazing.
Yes, that's cool.
Yeah.
Mike's been here, like I said, since this morning. He was signing and remarking.
Yeah.
He's going to be here the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Like today, signing and remarking. He's also, if you're just joining us, he's doing a discount code on his website. So make sure you get over there. He's got some cool stuff. He's got some already remarked slab, Dr. Doom up.
Yeah.
You've also got Hellions up.
I got a little bit of everything on it. I started this Shopify store last year, and thank goodness I did, because I think all online retailers are experiencing a lot of business right now with people being at home. And I've got original artwork up there. I've got prelims. I got books that were just released last week or so, or 2 weeks ago. I've got all sorts of stuff, like you say, slabs, pre-remarked slabs. So definitely trying to provide people with access to all the type of stuff I do via that website.
Steve,
Well, I've got a question for you. Earlier in the interview, you had said, you referenced Ditko and you referenced Ramita.
Yeah.
Is there any particular artist that really got you going?
Neil Adams was probably the biggest one for me. As a young kid, I remember those Power records. You remember those?
Yes.
And so you'd get an LP, or I think that's what they were called, right?
Yes.
And you put your record on the turntable, and then you'd have a comic that size.
Yes.
And the ones I remember most vividly were drawn by Neil Adams. There were Star Trek. There was Planet of the Apes. The best one was Frankenstein, Werewolf, and Dracula.
Yes.
That one is insane. I have a hardcover comic of that Neil produced at some point, and his realism and sort of how modern it felt. I just wanted to emulate that, and I wanted to see that. I was very attracted to that. And as I was a non-comic artist, Norman Rockwell, who my godmother watched me a lot while my parents worked, and she had this wall of Rockwell prints in her
Saturday Evening Post.
Yeah, and I would sit there and draw on a little pad and look up at it, and not copying that, but just in admiration of that style. And I've always been drawn to that illustration sort of method. Another big guy for me are the pinup artists like Alberto Varga or George Petty and Gil Elvgren, guys that did use a lot of photographs in their artwork. And I don't know, it's just my thing. Like, I just get really fired up working that way or something.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the cool things Mike's doing today is we got right in front of him. We have a Comic Con Online hat.
I'm working on it, man. Black fabric is a little tricky, but
he's got a remark of Venom on it. And, I believe we're auctioning that off, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going to be auctioning that
then
off.
let me get going on that a little bit, because we might do that at the end of this segment.
I think we might be doing it at the end of the segment.
All right.
I'll double check with.
That's cool. Yeah, let me get my.
So black fabric has probably been pretty challenging. I saw you started it, and I was like,
sucking it up. No, it's like a sponge. But so next year, that's the note: white hats.
White hat. It's funny. Corey has white hats. He just didn't send them.
Okay, right.
I think he's keeping the white for himself.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
So, we all do a lot of con traveling, all of us. Us, you. What would you say is your most enjoyable con?
Oh, man. New York Comic Con has a special place in my heart. I lived in Manhattan for 5 years, from 95 to 2000. And I just happened to time it when comics were in the toilet. And there was nothing like that there. Maybe in like a church basement or something, there was a show, and it wasn't anything like you would think of now. And so to be able to go to the city and be at a world-class show that to me is maybe even better than San Diego Comic-Con, it's just a real thrill. And I just love that show. That Javits Center is a spectacle.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, and I get probably more fired up for that show than any of them. But shows in general have been great for me the last few years, and I've done my best to get to, you know, the bigger ones and do more there, you know, participate in different ways. And so, you know, I'm sure like all you guys, I really missed seeing the comic family.
Yeah, it's been challenging this year.
On the road, yeah. And that's why these things are kind of, you know, I love these live streams. A lot of times I'll come home for dinner and the kids are doing something, and at 5 o'clock or so I'll look at my phone on Facebook, and there you guys are, or someone is having a Zoom interview or a StreamYard thing, and you'll just sit there and kind of really relax and enjoy yourself hearing people talk about the things you love. Because I don't know how you guys are. When I go to comic shows or things like this, that's the time I get to geek out. My friends aren't really into this stuff, and my family, you know, they're not so much into it, you know, so it's cool to be around people that are like-minded and appreciate it.
Yeah, Steve and I are kind of like crackheads when it comes to conventions and comic books, and it's been way too much money. Fortunately, my wife loves me enough that she doesn't get mad about it.
Yeah.
Michael Chang, we already answered this, but what's the most challenging character or thing you have to draw? I know you said character was Batman.
Yeah.
But what would you say the most challenging thing?
The challenging thing? Well, I don't know about that. Well, I will say this, because this came up in another one of these sort of events. People were asking me about gorillas. We were talking about gorillas. And, you know, I would say like anyone that can draw, and I don't know what it is about these three things. They're not related to each other in any way. But if you can draw gorillas or horses or female figures well, it demonstrates that you have a certain observation or a draftsmanship that puts you in the next level. You know, like anybody can draw a man's face or something like that, but to draw a woman's face is a little more challenging. And the same with like a horse or something like that. Like you can pretty, sorry, I have kind of like a frog in my throat. I don't want to think I got the Rona here.
No, there's a lot of safety protocol here. Temperature checks.
Yeah.
I was expecting other checks.
Right. But you can, you know, if a really good artist draws a horse, like you can recognize almost immediately if things are a little off.
Right.
You know, like the nostrils or the face. And you know, all my favorite artists are guys that can really nail all three of those things. You know, and so I would say those, maybe while they aren't necessarily difficult to draw in a sense, the ability to be able to draw those is a mark of a quality artist to me.
Was that something that took a lot? I mean, like, I'm big. I'm right. I'll agree with you. Female figures, they have to be a certain way, or just look at them soft and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Was that a challenging process to get to that point where you felt confident, like, you're Mary Jane, you're Vampire?
And that's why I purposely sort of got involved with pinup art, or that's why I chose Zorro.
Okay.
You know, because I was getting some modest offers from DC to do some superhero tie-ins or, you know, fill-in issues or this and that when I was breaking in. But I got the opportunity to Zorro, and I was like, yeah, you know, that this was in '93 during the heyday of sort of the Image style where everyone was kind of imitating the three guys that everyone knows. And I really wanted to challenge myself to be able to draw other things.
Right.
And so that was a big part of me getting on Zorro, was like, well, if I can draw horses and saddlebags and, you know, accurate Mexican saddles and the period Los Angeles, that would mean I would probably be able to draw anything. You know, I think I was probably thinking a lot of like, you know, Jean Giraud, you know, Moebius.
Right.
You know, he started out drawing Lieutenant Blueberry, which is this meticulously drawn Western. But then, you know, when he breaks free and does all this science fiction art, you know, he's got so much chops.
Right.
You know, and you can even see some of the remnants of his Western sort of sensibilities in his fantasy art, and it gives it a verisimilitude that maybe another artist wouldn't have.
So I want to show your remarks again. Wait for the thing to pop up on Steven's camera. So with your remarks, you know, you put a lot of details in these little remarks.
Okay.
Like the Spider-Man he's working on right now. Or the Venom, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But like, How long did it take you to get to that point where you felt, good enough to draw such detail on a small,
Yeah. Well, it's a tricky thing to explain. Well, first of all, I think me being a painter has some positive effect because I kind of understand how color, paints blend together and how painting or how color works next to each other and things like that. And then I would also say, doing these remarks is a little bit like designing a cupcake, like the top of a cupcake. It's not as much as I'm not really drawing so much as I am sort of designing where the colors go next to each other. So while each of them are a little unique and have their own sort of flavor, I mean, there's sort of no two alike. There is sort of like a pattern I'll follow, and it gets better and better over time. I mean, if you look at my older Venoms compared to my newer Venoms, now there's a little bit more slobber. The teeth are a little more interesting to look at. The way I've sort of constructed it is a little better. And I don't know. I just sort of fall into a groove, and next thing you know, it's on there, and
you evolve.
Yeah.
You kind of evolve.
Yeah, and it's a nice counterpoint to my real artwork or my regular artwork, which is so meticulous and almost overthought, and I'm using every tool you can imagine. And these are just kind of like what you would think of a comic book artist. I'm drawing out of my head a little bit. I'm kind of letting it free flow. I'm not caring too much, having fun with it, and I think it shows. I think people respond to that.
So, we've been talking a lot about the stuff you have done. What would you want to do? What haven't you done? What character haven't you done that you want to work on next?
Well, that would be any creator-owned character. And I do have a creator-owned book I'm working on right now. It's a character I created about 15 years ago. And I just never felt I had the writing chops to pull off because it's like a period thing. And it's kind of a complicated, it would be kind of a complicated story in a sense with the research and everything. And I have a script for that book from a Marvel writer, and I'm producing the artwork for it as we speak. So yeah, and I couldn't be more thrilled, to be able to pitch this idea to this writer and have him be on board with it and to see what he created and to see what direction he took it in that gave it a whole nother life.
Right.
And so I would say in the next several months, you're going to start to see me tease some things about that. But I'm super excited about this character. I think he's got a very unique visual presence, and just the whole storyline is something you wouldn't necessarily think of from a comic book artist.
So other than creator-owned, mainstream, what would be a character you haven't done yet that you'd want to do?
Man, well, Joker would have been high on the list, but I've done some Joker stuff recently. I've been so fortunate. I guess I wouldn't mind taking a crack. Well, Batman, I would love to take a legitimate crack at, like if I had a 4-issue miniseries or something where I could really
explore it.
Yeah, explore him and the world and define my take on him. That would be a dream come true type of thing. And then, Superman might be under that somewhat.
Okay.
I haven't really, I've done quite a bit of Captain America, I think. I've done some issues of Avengers he's been featured in, and a lot of covers, Captain America's featured in. But I always say Spider-Man's my favorite to draw. But man, Captain America is like, so fun to draw. And I would love to do some sort of Cap story. But
that would be cool, like Red Skull and that time era, or more of the newer stuff.
Who knows? It would really depend on the story and the writer. But I would be open to whatever. But I think for me, I've spent a lot of time doing other people's ideas. It's like when George Lucas wanted to make a science fiction adventure movie, he tried to get the rights to Flash Gordon,
right?
And he couldn't get them, so he made Star Wars. Probably not a bad idea.
Pretty well.
Yeah.
I somewhat regret not doing more creator-owned stuff a while ago, and I have pursued a lot of that. I mean, there was this sort of an animated guerrilla detective that I created that got optioned for years in Hollywood, and we were going to pitch meetings, and I was working on that in various capacities. and it just never really came through. And the comic hasn't quite come out, but I would love that comic to come out more than my Captain America thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I just think I'm in a good opportunity. I'm in a good space right now where these variants are creating such heat, and I'm able to sort of make money off of them in ways that I couldn't do when I was just working for Marvel. Because now I have my own store. I'm getting my own variants, and there's all these different aspects to it, and it's giving me the financial freedom to really look at things and say, hey, you don't have to contact the X-Men editor to pay the bills.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm really looking hard at that. Now, that being said, I'm really excited with what's happening with the X-Men characters right now.
Right.
Yeah, I just read the Powers of X, House of X hardcover, and I would really be keen to get on board some X stuff right now.
Yeah.
Because I think that they're going to lay the groundwork for some new X-Men mythology, and then I don't know if we talked about it here, but I always say, X-Men was my gateway drug in the, 85,
Yeah.
Paul Smith and John Romita Jr.,
Yeah.
and then the New Mutants that just came out, then Excalibur with Alan Davis, and you couldn't go wrong with the X-Men titles. And man, to play in that world is a lot of fun.
Chris here wants to know, what are your remarks like for your G.I. Joe? Like, what do you usually do a remark on a G.I. Joe?
Well, I haven't figured those out necessarily. On my site, I've offered a little Cobra symbol that you can add on. But the big problem with the remarks is females, or even just human characters, because I don't have a flesh-colored marker.
Oh, that makes sense.
And then, when you're drawing sort of grotesque or masked characters, there's a lot of forgiveness with, how you draw it. You can be a little more spontaneous. But with a female, one slight, the nose is like a millimeter off. It looks ugly.
Right.
And a lot of times you're dealing with valuable books. And so I'm not really that motivated to, come up with these really intricate female remarks. That being said, the whole thing's evolving for me, and I'm sure at some point I'll have a solution for it. But I don't have a Baroness remark right now. I thought about maybe Destro would be fun, or Cobra Commander.
That would be cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool G.I. Joe characters that would lend themselves to it.
So I'm looking at G.I. Joe 273, and where did you go with the idea with the Baroness coming out of like that?
Oh, well, I'll tell you. So Eastside Comics, who I work with a lot, had the idea. I guess there was an episode where a lot of the characters are at like a gala, like a formal gala, and they're wearing evening dress, and Baroness has this black evening gown, and some of the other characters have, formal wear on. And, he thought the fans would love it if they saw her in that costume, and then maybe cover B, you get a different spin on her outfit.
Cool.
And, I was like, yeah, that's a cool idea. Man, people went nuts. I mean,
beautiful.
Yeah,
great cover.
I'm blown away at how the reception on that. So much so that I'm happy to say I just turned in my covers for G.I. Joe 274
awesome.
on Tuesday. So those should be being teased pretty soon.
Oh,
and
wow.
Man, I'm real excited for that. Because again, in 1985, dude, when I was putting my X-Men comics down, it was to turn on G.I. Joe.
Right, I grew up with that. We all did.
I love that cartoon. I had the toy. I was 15. I was a little old. But I was getting the toys, and I was taking my action figures out of the pack just to put the guns in their hands.
You can't say it. I've got the entire. My wife will say it, the entire top of my man cave.
Yeah.
I've got all the 25th anniversaries in the box and everything.
Right.
Yeah, we're all still collecting toys.
Yeah. No, it's fun stuff. It's fun.
Ryan Starr says he'd like to see you do some more Wonder Woman.
Oh, I know Ryan. I would love to do Wonder Woman. That's a big character for me. It has a lot of appeal. I mean, I'll be completely frank. A lot of the decision making that goes on with me, or maybe even any artist in my level, is the fact that honestly, when it comes to original artwork, it's like Spider-Man, Batman, maybe the X-Men are kind of up there, but I'm so incentivized to do Spider-Man characters and Batman characters, and that kind of thing. That do I want to take a pay cut to do Legion of Superheroes or something?
Right.
You know what I mean? I love that stuff growing up too, but I do have to factor all that in, especially when you're maybe paying for your own store variant, which costs tens of thousands of dollars, and before you make a dollar.
Well, you say you're 274. Who's going to be selling? Is that going to be through your site? Through
Yeah,
Nike,
that's me and Eastside, and
Okay.
we partnered on that. So we'll probably not for a few weeks. I don't think
Right.
but we'll give the pre-sale details the same way all over social, Instagram, Facebook,
Okay.
and but yeah, I mean, you rattled off some names. I'm so blessed right now to work with these stores who are patronizing me and making sure that my stuff gets out there, and it's a really unique environment the last few years. You know what I mean? Like, I would say maybe 5 years ago, if I wasn't working on some interiors or something like that, maybe Marvel might contact me and say, oh, this store wants you to do a variant. I would be like, oh, a variant? Okay, I guess. I wish I was doing the regular title covers, right? And then I started to kind of figure out these variants were getting a lot of attention.
Right?
Yeah, and 5 years later, my vampire ones were worth a lot of money or this and that. And I started to kind of put two and two together. And, you really can't discount, as much as we all want to be we all love the storytelling in these books. And, we want to be authentic to the characters and the truth of the original stuff. And maybe the potential that the comics medium has for storytelling, you can't deny the power of the collectible aspect of it.
Yes.
And that's something that I sort of discounted for a long time.
Well, it comes, a lot of people don't read them anymore. They buy them for the art.
Right.
Books are just, oh man, look how beautiful that cover is.
Yeah.
Sometimes I didn't read the story at all. He just loves your art.
Yeah. And
Are you seeing a lot of that right now?
Oh yeah. I mean, I used to fight that mentality, or you look down at it or you laugh at it, and then you're like, it's there. There, like you said, there are guys that would buy, let's say, an original of mine or a prelim of mine because they want the original art because it's a work of art.
Right.
But then there's guys that would pay me to do 3 remarks on a $100 variant and then get it slabbed, and then that's worth maybe $1,000.
Right.
And to them, that's a work of art. And it's like, more
Each
power
their own.
to everybody.
Yeah.
To each their own. Like, why shouldn't I be there to kind of provide for everybody if it makes sense for me?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So I'm kind of all about that. I noticed we were talking about shows. I used to have my portfolios, and then maybe I'd do a couple sketch covers or something, and some prints. When I started having the rack with the slabs, doing the remarks, got the portfolio. When you have 5 or 6 income streams at a table instead of 2, it makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
And it's not just about making money. It's about the experience you can provide for the fans. The attitude you had that day. You're feeling better because your time is valuable and you're making it worth it. And there's a tremendous amount of opportunity in this industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there is.
And you're sharing your passion.
One of the things we're
And
going to
that's
do, guys,
right. It's
is,
all tuned into your passion. So it's like there's this never-ending amount of gas in your tank.
Exactly.
So
for you guys just joining in with us,
yeah.
we got Mike here at CGC in Sarasota hanging out with us. He's been remarking and sketching. He's been working on a hat for us today.
I'm trying this hat. It's like drawing on a sponge.
He's working on it for us. We are going to auction the hat at $325 today. So if you're here, you want to get a chance to get some original art on a hat from Mike with a
better get
Conline. It's an awesome piece. Mike's been sharing some of his favorite stuff that he's done work-wise and everything else. What I'm going to ask him now is, Jim Lee famously did the tread on Batman's boot and regretted it afterwards.
I never heard it.
Is there a character you've done that you would add something that now you feel like, crap, I wish I hadn't done that?
Well, it's funny when you bring up the feet thing. There's this Pulse #1 cover where I had Spider-Man sort of swinging out at you. I think Joe Q even designed the cover for me. He conceptualized it. And maybe I got a little too detailed on the toes or something. He's wearing socks. And it's like, you're like, well, maybe John Romita Sr. was right. Making it kind of flat, a little more that kind of stuff.
Like feet socks.
Yeah, and it was like people always call me out for it. I'm like, yeah, you're right. There's a little too much detail.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Funny.
And then other than that, yeah, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. That's what comes to mind on that one.
Yeah, that's it's funny. Feet. I think the artists say the hardest thing their hands and feet to really get them right.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's tricky. That's another reason I like to shoot with models is because they're acting with their hands, or you can see in camera with your camera lens how big their hand might be getting.
Oh, yeah.
I love that type of stuff.
We mentioned cons. We all do a lot of traveling, and a lot of people know I like to eat.
Okay. Yeah.
So, what would you say your favorite restaurants you've been to after a convention, during a convention?
Oh man, I don't really remember the names of restaurants, but I sure miss going out to dinner with artists like Tyler Kirkham, or I was at dinner with Shannon Mayer in Chicago. Or some of the store owners, or some of the CGC facilitators, or other folks. It's just like a little family of people,
Yeah.
and it's just so fun to just gossip and talk about, oh, did you hear what they're doing in Venom? I heard Null's this or that, or you know what I mean? And the reason I don't remember the name of the restaurants is a lot of times I'm fortunate enough there just say, oh, meet us at this
just go.
room,
Yeah.
and I'm just there, and it's great.
Take an Uber over and be done with it.
Yeah. So I really miss all that camaraderie at the shows, big time. But I've stayed in touch with everybody, and it'll all come back at some point. I mean, we were talking maybe middle of next year or something, we'll start to see some normalization.
Steve and I were talking on the way here, and I really feel like without a vaccine or herd immunity, we're probably second quarter.
Yeah.
I don't see the big ones in the first quarter of next year.
Yeah.
I can hope for it though, that's for sure.
Well, and then the chatter, with some of my peers is like, they might have a show, but if there's only half the people there, then is it worth it?
Yeah.
So how do you engage that? Like, do you bring half your setup? Do you only stay half the time to cut your costs down?
Right.
And it gets to be a real tricky metric to figure out, especially when events like this are taking the place of it.
Yes. That's where we fill the niche.
Yeah, and it's like I'm starting to be able to predict how much I can make off of these versus the time I'm spending, or ways to sort of step up the game, and then how much time do you take away from that to go back to shows, because it's a hard thing to figure out.
Well, and I got to give hats off to Corey and Greg and JJ and the guys I work with. This has been a great opportunity for everybody to do these online conventions. And like you said, you're seeing it. We're busy, and San Diego's trying to do it now. Dragon said they're going to go virtual. I'm curious to see how those things turn out.
It's easier said than done.
It is a lot. I mean, we do a lot of our parent. We meet regularly, like 2 or 3 times a week, and talk about how we're going to do this. And it's interesting to see how they're going to do those shows.
Well, and the other thought I had too is, and I don't know how much of a personality I have, but it's like, the sad matter of the fact is there are going to be creators that thrive on camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's other ones that, quite frankly, aren't for various reasons. And it's going to be interesting to see how that affects things. Because having an on-screen personality might become part of your business.
Right.
Especially, I mean, my Instagram and Facebook has definitely, multiplied 10x, let's say, over the last 2 or 3 years. And, the only reason I'm not streaming on YouTube more is I just don't have the time, or I haven't figured out the setup. But believe me, I want to be there, and I want to be producing that content. I know how valuable that is to people and to myself. And, it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
I unfortunately, I say this, my mentality is this, like, the convention hall is set up where they need to fill the space up with somebody.
Yes.
So there's this giant artist alley, and if they're getting $200 a pop, they're at least covering something that wouldn't be there normally. Video doesn't have that.
No.
It's there's no, it's like you're not like when you're in the convention hall and you're an up and comer and you're getting the benefit of being near all these bigger names that are attracting these people that might get to you and give you exposure. But video doesn't have that sort of transition. Just because someone watches, I don't know, Mark Brooks's live stream doesn't mean they're gonna tune into someone else.
Exactly.
And so I don't know how it'll play out, but I think people have the hook in them now, and then it's just not gonna. They're gonna want this.
This isn't going to go away. I don't think.
No,
These
no,
online conventions, because I mean, you made the trip all the way from California here,
Yeah,
which was awesome. Thank you for doing that. And but like you said, it's the cost. You can stay home.
Yeah.
You can set up your studio. Your studio with everything you want to do. And
Yeah.
if you're doing it for the comfort of your home, then you're probably seeing the same amount of volume, if not more, because that people are coming for you.
Yeah. Well, and my whole rap with conventions was, and I think it's probably still true, is it is an incredible live marketing opportunity that's almost unprecedented in other industries. Once I really started spending money on cons and planning them, I talked to some of my friends that aren't in the comic industry about their conventions,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like they spend a lot more money to get a lot less customers. And the numbers that we're used to from New York Comic Con, I mean, for what you spend to be there is so well worth it.
I read an article, I think it was last year after we did New York, and said New York has surpassed San Diego just in number of attendance. It's not as big as San Diego,
right?
But it was 200, I think, 250,000 or something, and
I
Max
think
was like
there,
175 or 80.
250,000.
Oh, it felt like it.
It was ridiculous.
That's Saturday. You've been there, so those Saturdays there are crazy.
And I remember this tweet is stuck in my head from a few months ago. It was from Mark Miller, the writer of Ultimates and Kick-Ass. And he was saying, after the Spanish flu, he posted these images of movie posters of all these, huge hits like Chaplin and Buster Keaton, where people, after the pandemic in 1918 was over, people were
ready to get back out.
They were so hungry for this. It was an explosion, and it's probably safe to say something like that will happen again. I mean, can you imagine being able to go to a concert?
Oh,
how much more fun you're kind of cynical. Oh, another concert, yeah, it's cool.
Well, we talked about when the first con happens, like a real your Chicago, your you're not going to get in there. They're going to be sold out months ahead because, like you said, craving that opportunity. Just even just to walk around and say hi to the artist.
Right.
Go shopping in all the different vendors from across the country.
It's going to feel like
what you can't have.
Exactly.
It's going to feel like you're getting away with something.
Exactly.
Like, how cool would it be to go to a Halloween party in October?
Right.
But it's probably not going to happen.
I know.
But what'll happen is, I don't know what's happening with the NFL season, but maybe we'll get to go to Super Bowl parties. That'll be so fun.
It will be. It'll be great to get back out and have some normal.
So it'll swing back, I think. Hopefully.
Agreed. Let's see. I'm gonna ask you another question. Is there any sort of background music, television? What do you do to focus when you draw?
Yeah. Well, I do a lot of things. I primarily jack into YouTube and
watch people fall and stuff.
I feel like I have the luxury of being able to work and concentrate while listening to the smartest people in the world. So I'll listen to, I don't know, Ray Dalio, the biggest hedge fund guy, or Warren Buffett. Or a lot of audiobooks. I just finished Don DeLillo's White Noise, or Thomas Pynchon, Crying in Block 49 I had on a few months ago. And I just feel like I'm able to absorb so much information and content, and it ends up positively affecting me. I just feel like I have a bigger awareness, or I'm hearing more opinions, and I'm able to sort of cultivate my own tastes or thoughts. And what a blessing to be able to just put on anything. Any writer or creator you've ever in the 20th century probably has some video on there. You could hear them talk in their own words.
Right.
I can go on and hear what Warren Buffett thinks about what's happening right now. I mean, it's awesome.
Getting the perspective of those guys is interesting.
Yeah, and then maybe at night, if I go back and work at night, I'll put on Netflix or Amazon, or my latest thing is I remember Night Flight. It was this cable show. It was like MTV, but a little cooler, a little edgier. And they've got a website that you can watch all the old content on.
Corey and Greg are going to join us here right now. Jump back
cool.
in. We're going to move forward, and we're going to auction that bad boy off.
Okay. I mean, it's subtle, but
well, like you said, it was drawn on a sponge.
If I go over my signature again, it might be a little too blurry.
Oh yeah, it looks really good up close. So let's see. We'll probably put on another camera. We'll go back to Steven. What's up, fellas?
More importantly, it's one of a kind.
Yes, it is one of a kind. Yeah, we'll get back on the camera here.
And it's got the sticker on it. Yeah.
Minty fresh, man.
Oh, it looks good on the video.
Yeah.
Let me bring him up real quick.
There we go.
Here we go.
Oh wow!
All right, so
There we go.
that is a good looking hat. All right, Greg, you want to get the timer ready here, buddy? And we are gonna the size of the hat. I don't know.
Let's see here. It's a new era medium large,
Yeah.
which means it fits everybody.
This means.
Unless you're Greg or Brian, then it doesn't fit you.
Oh.
Hey. What is mine? Oh yeah, mine's the same as Greg. Yeah,
We'll go 2 minutes on this to kind of give everybody an opportunity. And
yeah, let me turn so you can see.
Yeah.
There you go. Say hi. There you go. He can see you now.
Oh, here we go. Hey, Corey, what's up, buddy?
what's going on, Mike?
Thanks for having me, man.
Dude, it's been awesome. We've been sitting here watching the whole thing, just kind of listening in. I wanted to chime in a couple times, but I had to, pump it.
That's all right.
Thing. All right, so we ready to go, Greg? Hold her up and show everybody. All right, so we'll start the bid we'll start it at $20, and here we go. All right, so once that hits 0, guys, that's gonna be it. Now, while this hat may be a medium large, I don't recommend wearing it because that's a pretty piece of venom right there on that hat.
It is.
All right, so Chris, $40. And shipping is free on the hat, guys. It'll fill.
That'll look good when you
It's 50.
The Venom movie premiere. When will that be? In February or something?
Well, they pushed everything back.
Oh no, I'm dying to see that new Venom. Isn't Carnage going to be in it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson's Carnage was a heck of a choice. I
Oh,
wasn't
man.
expecting that.
I love it.
While we're going through the auction, don't forget to go to Mike's store. Your discount is until Monday, right?
Yeah, that's right. 20% off everything. Conline 2020, all one word.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys haven't been there, there's a lot of cool stuff up there.
Right
I'm
now,
on some stuff myself.
Nice.
55.
Apparently.
55? Yeah, that's not bad. Normally these remarks go for 120. So you got to figure the hat's let me show the back of the hat. You got Conline.
Yeah.
You got the logo.
To be fair, it is a hat, not a comic. So I mean,
we're at CGC. Can we get this graded?
Brittany, can we get this graded?
I think she's
Raw grade, maybe.
Carlos is at 60.
All right.
How much time left?
20 seconds, 19 now.
All right, y'all better get your snipes in. Howard, you got about 12 seconds to get that hat, buddy. If you want it, bids at $60. 65.
Look out.
3, 2, 1, and let's see. We will.
That is a heck of a ringtone.
All right, so we're gonna watch it to see who won. Looks like it might end up being.
Looks like Chris.
Chris won it, 65.
Nice.
All right.
Thank you, Chris.
He's impressed.
That is cool. Mike, thanks for doing that.
Oh, my pleasure, guys.
Corey, I'm gonna let you, want to say anything? You want to jump in a few times? I know you. So, got anything for Mike?
Man, no, not really, man. Mike, I just want to say, I really appreciate you coming on again for your second show.
Oh, thank you. I think what you guys are doing is awesome, man.
I mean, we're just trying to fill a void, man. We're comic fans who want the experience as much as anybody, and just bring it the best way we can, the safest way we can.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I think people are liking being at home, being comfortable. These devices are allowing for audio and visual that are somewhat unprecedented, and it's cool just to be able to tune in for a little bit and not have a whole weekend commitment.
Right.
You can tune in for an hour, your favorite creator, and then you can go back to your life. Maybe come back. You can watch it later, archived, and it's very cool.
And it opens up, for collaborations like between us and CGC, obviously, and us and Art Germ Collectibles and Coffin Comics, and
Art Germ variant, dude, that is sweet, man. That's your Comic Conline exclusive, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, dude, that is a killer cover.
And we're hoping with that, we'll start to see more creators wanting to do more of the convention exclusive, and because there's money being missed by creators all around. And that's one of the areas. So,
Chris, we can get you a second hat, man. we'll send you a message.
Well, I know we're getting to the end of our session, Corey. We got to move on to what we have lined up next. I don't remember. The schedule's so big. But
next up, we have John Boy Myers. He'll be
our buddy.
Nice.
Yes. Mike, I really appreciate you taking the time with us today.
Hey, thanks for chatting with me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
We will be back here tomorrow at CGC for Greg Horn, and then we're back here Saturday for Amanda and Jimmy. So we'll have some fun there.
That's it. That's killer.
Make sure you check out Mike's store. Get that discount. He's got some cool stuff up there. I'm gonna buy that. I'm gonna buy the Baroness for myself.
Yeah, it's www.MikeMayhewStudio.com, and that's my Instagram and Facebook. Mike Mayhew Studio, everything.
Make sure you're following Creators Corner, Comic Con Online for the rest of the weekend. Stephen and I with Alpha Omega for any CGC stuff you want to do. And man, thanks for having us, guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Mike, again, I appreciate it. And we'll let you guys go and carry about your business. And Greg and I are going to get back to fulfilling the sponsor obligation. Have a good one. Talk to you soon, buddy.
Okay,
guys.
Remember to use the discount code ComicConline 2020 on the MikeMayhewStudio.com. Get you a discount.
So, and for those of you that are wondering, we will be having the hats available, the actual official hats. We'll be having them available come probably Monday when we post them up on the Comic Conline website, I believe. Or we may just post them on the Facebook page and let people claim them and set everything up and invoice them. We'll see. But so let's get to telling everybody, why we get to keep doing this.
The Short Box podcast. The Short Box is an award-winning comic book and pop culture podcast based in Jacksonville, Florida. Created in 2012 and hosted by Barter and crew. The show is on its 6th season, 290 episodes in, and they're releasing weekly opinionated discussions centered around comics, pop culture topics, and so much more. Industry professionals, actors, musicians, and content creators regularly join them to chat about their projects and the latest fandom news. If you've ever asked yourself what's worth checking out, look no further than the Short Box podcast.
JJ's Comics and Art, the rep for Doug Mankey, has been supporting the Comic Con line from the very beginning. Head over to their Instagram bio to check out the latest they have to offer.
Scott's Collectibles reps some of the top creators in the business and was kind enough to lend a few of their clients to the show. Head over to scottscollectibles.co.uk to see the latest offerings from the creators.
MajorPain.com is a brand new retailer that just launched and is adding new comics every day. Like them on Facebook and join their insiders group, or feel free to give them a call so that they can help you find the comics and comic art you're looking for.
Alpha Omega Certification is the official CGC facilitator of Comic Conline. You just saw Brian and Steven there with Mike at CGC. Check out alphaomegacertification.com for amazing lists of signature submissions opportunities.
Outright Geekery. They've had exclusive behind-the-scenes coverage of the event. They've been releasing everything first before everybody else. Head to outrightgeekery.com for the latest in comic-related news.
Comic Book Shopping Network is a hub where retailers can come together to host live sales every single day, a new one every hour. It's the brainchild of Jesse James Comics and Jen King with Space Cadets. CBSN is the home for some of the best comic deals and people on Facebook.
And we have Oasis Comics is your official home for Jay Lee and David Barron exclusive variants. Head over there now to check out the Power Rangers exclusive color blanks. Those are pretty badass.
They are.
Also CGC Comics. It's where the guys were located. It's the industry leader in grading comics.
And they have a cool robot.
They do. They have robots. Yeah. And head over to Coffin Comics. I think it's coffincomicsshop.com. Check out the latest Comic Online, the latest and first Comic Online convention exclusive.
I have been notified that I guess the metal cover is sold out. Probably the foil also.
Yeah, I would imagine. So
there's still other options there for you to get.
Yep. And that will be it. We will be back in about 30 minutes, guys, with John Boy Myers. Check back here. He is the Phil Jackson of reading promos.
I'm trying to get better at that.
All right, guys, we will talk to you here in just a little bit. See you shortly.